5 inmates and 5 families who want to give their loved ones a second chance at freedom.
They just sent him away forever.
I just want him to come home.
But some of these men are facing life sentences without the possibility for parole. Others just can't seem to get the parole board's approval.
Every time you go up for parole, they knock it down.
Some have been locked away since the 70s, like Horace Peterson.
He'd been in there my whole life. My mom was 2 years old.
Eric Woodyard is Peterson's grandson. Peterson was convicted in 1973 of first-degree murder at a Flint record shop. Woodyard says his grandfather didn't pull the trigger, wasn't even in the same room as the man who did the crime. Still, he received the same charge.
Tell me about how hard it is to get somebody to take a second look.
I think they're so immune to feeling like, everybody in prison feels like they're, innocent.
These 4 women feel the same way as Woodyard, that their loved ones' sentences were unjust. That's why they're turning to a man who was dealt a harsh hand by the system, Flint's Michael Thompson. He was sentenced 40 to 60 years in the 90s for selling marijuana and owning guns. He served nearly 25 before Governor Whitmer commuted his sentence in January.
There's a lot of bad people in prison and need to be there. But there's a lot of good people that's in prison and don't need to be there.
Thompson says 2 laws stand in the way of prison reform. One is the habitual offender law, which stacks extra time for those with previous convictions, like Thompson had.
If we eradicate habitual offenders, that cuts the numbers down drastically, and it takes the handcuff off of the judges where they're able to sentence proportional to what the crime is.
Thompson says the second law in the way is Michigan's Truth in Sentencing, a law that eliminates being released early on good behavior. It states prisoners must serve their minimum sentence before being offered parole.
Give guys a good time.
And Michigan Department of Corrections spokesman Chris Gouts says often Truth in Sentencing does keep MDOC's hands tied.
We can't just release someone because, they're doing really well and we think that they'd be okay, if they were let out. There are a number of prisoners who the board, if they had jurisdiction, would consider to be released.
Gouts says of Michigan's 33,000 prisoners, 85% haven't served their minimum sentence yet. That's around 28,000 prisoners without parole opportunities.
Especially during the pandemic, we heard a lot of people say, just let out all of the elderly prisoners, just let out all of the nonviolent drug offenders. And the truth is, for the ones that are eligible, we've already done that.
For those who will never be eligible, they have to try to appeal and petition for clemency.
We just started a petition. We have over 50,000 signatures. We have an attorney. This is something that I'm fighting for.
For many, it's a long shot and a long process. These families hope Thompson can bring true prison reform and bring their loved ones home. Scott Walczek, WNEM TV 5.